Remember, our perspective shapes our reality. But more important than that, our perspectives are not fixed. They can and will evolve with new experiences, information, and insights. By actively seeking diverse viewpoints, traveling and studying different cultures, and engaging in different activities, questioning our current beliefs and assumptions, and using the right tools like mindfulness or journaling, we can overcome cognitive biases and foster a more balanced, insightful approach to life. Welcome to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, where we explore the keys to unlocking your full potential and living your best life. I'm your host, Jose Johnson. Whether you're looking to make a breakthrough, overcome a challenge, or simply live with greater clarity, joy, and purpose, you'll find the tools and inspirations you need right here. So let's start your journey towards personal mastery and growth right now. Welcome back to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, your go-to resource for practical tips, insightful research, and inspiring stories to help you unlock your full potential. I'm your host, Jose Johnson, and I'm an expert in the fields of mindfulness, mindset, and peak performance, and I am so excited to have you here with me today. And today, we are diving into a topic that's crucial for personal development and growth, the power of perspective. Have you ever wondered why two people can look at the same situation and see it completely differently? Or why you might have changed your opinion on something over time? Well, today we'll explore why everything you believe is only partially correct and how expanding your perspective can lead to greater understanding and growth. All right, let's start with a little story time. And we're going to discuss an ancient Hindu story that beautifully illustrates the nature of perspective. It's called The Blindmen and the Elephant. So the story begins when a group of blind men hear that a strange animal called an elephant is being brought into town. Now, obviously, none of them knew what an elephant looked like since, well, they couldn't see. So they decided that they would feel the elephant and then describe to the others what it was like. So one touches the trunk and he says, well, an elephant, well, it's like a thick snake. And another feels the tusk and says, an elephant, well, it's hard and pointed, it's kind of like a curved spear. And the third guy touches the ear and says, no, an elephant's like a large fan. Now, the fourth man touches the leg and he declares, an elephant, oh, it's like a tree trunk. Now, the fifth man touches the elephant's side and exclaims, the elephant's like a big wall. And the sixth man, grabbing the elephant's tail, says, well, the elephant's like a long rope. Now, in some versions, which I call the Quentin Tarantino variation of the story, each of the men becomes suspicious that the others are lying, and they have a huge knockdown, drag-out fight. So the question is, who was right and who was wrong? Well, the truth is that while each man was absolutely correct in their observation, they were equally as wrong because they were only focused on a small portion of the bigger truth. Now, the moral of the story is that as humans, we have a tendency to claim absolute truth based on our limited subjective experiences, and we tend to ignore other people's limited subjective experiences, which may be equally as true. Now, this lesson here is very profound. Our reality is shaped by our perspective, which is limited by our experiences and the information we have. No single viewpoint can capture the full picture. To get closer to the truth, we need to gather multiple perspectives. So why is this important? Well, the more ways we can view a situation, the closer we come to truly understanding it. Now, this means seeking out diverse experiences and surrounding ourselves with people from different backgrounds. Look, diversity is not just a buzzword. It's a key to expanding our perspective and enhancing our understanding of the world. So to continue our time together today, we're going to explore how to broaden our perspectives, the role of diversity, and the cognitive biases that limit our view. So let's start out with the science of perception. Perception is the process by which we interpret and make sense of the sensory information we receive from our environment. It's influenced by our past experiences, our expectations, and our cultural background, which means that no two people perceive the world in exactly the same way. Research highlights how culture shapes our perceptual and cognitive processes. For example, a 2014 paper published in the Journal of Business Research highlighted that people from different cultural backgrounds perceived and interpret visual information differently. Now, this culturally conditioned perception shows that our cultural context significantly influences how we process and understand the world around us. Our perspectives influence everything we do, from our decision-making processes to our interactions with others. They form the lens through which we view the world, and this lens can either limit or expand our understanding. So consider this. Have you ever been in an organization where everyone seemed to be agreeing on everything, but they're also stuck in a creative rut? Well, that's because diverse perspectives often bring new ideas and solutions to the table. Research shows that diverse teams tend to be more innovative and perform better because they draw on a wider range of experiences and viewpoints. But look, diversity isn't just about race, gender, or culture. It also includes different life experiences, skills, and ways of thinking. Surrounding ourselves with diverse people helps us to challenge our own assumptions and grow. This is crucial for personal mastery because it pushes us beyond our comfort zone and exposes us to new ways of thinking. Now just think for a moment. If you only ever interacted with people who shared your views, how limited would your perspective be? Surrounding ourselves with diverse voices and experiences is essential for personal growth. Diversity, it introduces us to new ideas. It challenges our preconceptions and it broadens our understanding. Now, let's look at 4 key reasons why perspective matters. First up is broaden understanding. Diverse perspectives enable us to see beyond our limited experiences and appreciate the richness of other viewpoints. Research in cognitive diversity highlights that exposure to different ways of thinking and processing information leads to a more comprehensive understanding of complex issues. Now, this broadened understanding can enhance our decision-making and our problem-solving abilities by giving us the ability to consider a wider range of possibilities. Next up is enhanced problem-solving. Studies show that teams with diverse perspectives tend to be more innovative and effective at solving problems. Diverse cognitive approaches allow for a variety of solutions, increasing the likelihood of finding the most effective and creative outcomes. Research has indicated that diverse teams perform better because they can draw from a wider array of experiences and viewpoints to tackle challenges. Third on the list is empathy and connection. Understanding that our perspective is just one of many fosters empathy. This empathetic approach is crucial in building meaningful connections and improving interpersonal relationships. Exposures to diverse perspectives fosters empathy by allowing us to understand and appreciate different experiences and viewpoints. Empathy is crucial for building meaningful relationships and effective communication. Research in psychology underscores the importance of empathy in social interactions and its role in enhancing cooperation and reducing conflicts. And finally, we come to innovation and creativity. Diverse perspectives are the breeding ground for innovation. When individuals with different backgrounds and ways of thinking collaborate, they are more likely to generate novel ideas and drive progress. Cognitive diversity encourages a creative environment where unconventional solutions can emerge, pushing boundaries and fostering innovation. But it's not always easy to embrace diverse perspectives. We often fall prey to cognitive biases. These are the mental shortcuts that can limit our view. And in the next segment, we're going to dive into those biases and how they affect our perception. So stay tuned. All right, now let's dive into the fascinating world of cognitive biases and how they shape our perceptions and our decisions. Cognitive biases are the mental shortcuts that our brain uses to process information quickly. Now, while they can be helpful in making fast decisions, they often lead to systematic errors in thinking that distort our perception of reality. These biases influence our decisions, our judgments, and beliefs in ways we may not even be aware of. So let's explore some common cognitive biases and how they influence our thinking. First is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias leads us to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs and to dismiss information that contradicts them. Now, this can result in a skewed perception and poor decision-making. So, for example, a person who believes that a specific diet is the healthiest may only read articles and studies that support this belief and ignore any source that might provide evidence to the contrary. Number 2, affinity bias. Affinity bias occurs when we prefer individuals who share our background, beliefs, or interests. This can limit diversity and innovation in decision-making. So for an example, during the hiring process, a manager may show a preference towards candidates with similar hobbies or educational backgrounds. Now, this may lead to overlooking more qualified candidates with different experiences. Number 3 is a status quo bias. Status quo bias is our preference to keep things the same rather than change. Now, this can hinder progress by limiting our willingness to adapt to new circumstances. An example is an employee who might resist adopting new software because they're comfortable with the old system, even if the new one is way more efficient. Number 4 is the availability heuristic. Now, this bias involves making decisions based on the information that is most readily available rather than all of the relevant information. This can lead to overestimating the likelihood of events. So an example of this is after seeing several news reports about plane crashes, a person might overestimate the danger of flying despite statistics showing that it's actually one of the safest modes of travel. Number 5 is the false consensus effect. The false consensus effect is the tendency to overestimate how much others agree with our beliefs and our behaviors. Now, this can create a very distorted view of reality. And a perfect example of this is a person who might believe that their political views are shared by the majority of people around them, leading to a great deal of surprise and misunderstanding when encountering differing opinions. Number 6 is the misinformation effect. The misinformation effect occurs when our memory of an event is altered by misleading information presented after the event. Now, this can actually distort our recollection and influence our future decisions. So, for example, a witness to an accident might remember incorrect details about the event after reading inaccurate news reports, which could impact their testimony. And number 7, the anchoring bias. Anchoring bias refers to the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information that we encountered, known as the anchor, when making decisions. This tendency can lead to skewed judgment and suboptimal decisions. So, for example, if a realtor shows you an overpriced house first, you might perceive subsequent houses as more reasonably priced, even if they're still expensive. Why? Because the first price skewed your perceptions and will ultimately impact your decision-making process. Understanding these biases is essential for personal growth and decision-making. Recognizing when we fall prey to cognitive biases allows us to take steps to lessen their impact. Now, this might involve seeking out diverse perspectives, questioning our assumptions, and considering all available evidence before making a decision. And if you want to learn more about cognitive biases, check out the book Predictably Irrational by Don Ariely. All right, in the next segment, we're going to discuss strategies to overcome cognitive biases and enhance our perceptions. So stay tuned. Okay, we've explored how our perceptions shape our reality and the impact of cognitive biases on our decision making. Now let's talk about how to overcome these biases and improve our perception. Recognizing these cognitive biases is the first step towards overcoming them. Once we are aware of these mental shortcuts, we can take conscious steps to minimize their impact. So here are some practical tips. Tip 1, seek diverse perspectives. Actively seek out and consider viewpoints that differ from your own. Engage in conversations with people from diverse backgrounds and experiences. Get your news from different sources. Travel or study different cultures. This helps to challenge your assumptions and broadens your understanding. Tip 2, practice mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present and aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, you can become more aware of your cognitive biases and make more deliberate, thoughtful decisions. Tip 3, question your assumptions. Regularly question your assumptions and beliefs. Ask yourself why you hold certain views and whether there is evidence to support them. This can help you to identify and overcome confirmation bias. Tip 4, slow down your decision making. Take your time when making decisions, especially important ones. Slowing down allows you to consider all relevant information and avoid making snap judgments based on cognitive biases. Tip 5. Use evidence-based decision-making. Base your decisions on evidence rather than intuition or gut feelings. Look for data and research that support your choices and be open to changing your mind in light of new information. And tip 6. Reflect on past decisions. Reflect on your past decisions and consider whether cognitive biases may have influenced them. This reflection can help you to recognize patterns in your thinking and make better decisions in the future. Overcoming cognitive biases is an ongoing process, but with practice, you can improve your perceptions and your decision-making. By seeking diverse perspectives, practicing mindfulness, questioning your assumptions, slowing down your decision-making, using evidence-based decision-making, and reflecting on past decisions, you can reduce the impact of cognitive biases and make more informed and rational choices. All right, now let's dive into some practical tools that you can use to shift your perspective when you find yourself stuck. Asking the right questions can be a powerful way to challenge your current viewpoint and open you up to new ways of thinking. So here are 10 insightful questions to ask yourself to help shift your perspective. Question number 1, what are the facts and what are my interpretations? Distinguishing between objective facts and your subjective interpretations can help you see a situation more clearly. Now, this question encourages critical thinking and helps you separate reality from perception. Identify any assumptions you're making about the situation. Are these assumptions based on fact, or are they simply influenced by your biases or your past experiences? Question number 2, what if the opposite were true? Challenge your current beliefs by considering the opposite scenario. How would your perspective change if what you believe to be true was actually false? This question helps you break free from entrenched beliefs and explore alternative viewpoints. Question 3, how would someone I respect view this situation? Think of someone you admire and consider how they might perceive the situation. This can help you see things from a different angle and gain new insights. Question 4, what would I advise someone else to do? Sometimes we can see solutions more clearly when we think about what we would tell a friend. This question helps you step outside your own situation and view it more objectively. Question 5, what am I missing? This question encourages you to look beyond your initial impression and consider other aspects of a situation. It helps you to identify blind spots and gain a more comprehensive understanding. Reflect on any information or viewpoints you might be overlooking. Ask yourself if there are other aspects of the situation that you haven't considered yet. Question 6, how does this look from a different vantage point? Try to imagine the situation from the perspective of someone else involved. How might their experiences and feelings influence their viewpoint? This question fosters empathy and helps you understand different perspectives. Question 7, what's the worst case scenario and how likely is it? Sometimes our fear can cloud our judgment. Consider the worst possible outcome and then assess its likelihood. This can help you put your concerns into perspective. Question 8, what are the benefits of seeing things differently? Think about how changing your perspective might benefit you. Could it lead to better outcomes, improved relationships, or personal growth? Question 9, what am I grateful for in this situation? Shifting your focus to gratitude can change your emotional state and help you to see the positive aspects of your current circumstances. It encourages you to focus on potential benefits and opportunities rather than drawbacks. And finally, question number 10, what are the long-term consequences of this decision? Now, this question shifts your focus from immediate outcomes to long-term effects. It helps you think more strategically and consider the broader impact of your actions. By regularly asking yourself these questions, you can develop a habit of challenging your existing perspectives and open your mind to new possibilities. This practice can lead to greater understanding, more effective problem solving, and overall personal growth. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here today, from understanding the power of perspective and the impact of cognitive biases to exploring practical tools and questions that can help you shift your mindset. We've taken a deep dive into how you can expand your view of the world. But perspective isn't just about the way we view our problems. Sometimes in the hustle and bustle of daily life, we lose sight of what is truly important. We become so familiar with our surroundings and our routines that we stop seeing the beauty and wonders all around us. Now, this phenomenon is known as habituation, where the constant exposure to the same stimuli causes our brains to basically tune them out. This loss of fresh perspective doesn't just apply to big issues like social and political matters. It deeply impacts how we view ourselves, our families, and our jobs. So what are some of the ways that habituation impacts our life? Well, let's start with ourselves. When you stop seeing yourself with fresh eyes, you may become overly critical or fail to recognize your own growth and achievements. It's important to regularly reflect on your personal journey and acknowledge how far you've come. It impacts your family. Habituation can cause us to take our loved ones for granted. We may miss out on appreciating their unique qualities and the joy they bring into our lives. Taking time to consciously appreciate your family can strengthen your relationships and bring a renewed sense of gratitude. And your job. In the workplace, seeing things with fresh eyes can lead to increased motivation and creativity. Look, it's easy to get stuck in a rut, performing tasks on autopilot. By seeking new challenges and opportunities for growth, you can find greater fulfillment and productivity in your work. By consciously making an effort to see things with new eyes, you can reignite your appreciation for the world around you and gain a deeper understanding of your life's true value. Remember, our perspective shapes our reality. But more important than that, our perspectives are not fixed. They can and will evolve with new experiences, information, and insights. By actively seeking diverse viewpoints, traveling and studying different cultures, and engaging in different activities, questioning our current beliefs and assumptions, and using the right tools like mindfulness or journaling, we can overcome cognitive biases and foster a more balanced, insightful approach to life. And whenever you feel stuck, make sure to use the 10 questions we discussed today to give you a fresh perspective. Incorporating these practices into your daily life can lead to profound personal growth and a deeper understanding of the world around you. All right, so thank you for joining me today on this journey towards greater self-awareness and growth. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more insightful discussions and practical tips on personal mastery and growth. And as always, folks, remember, it is what it is, but it becomes what you make it. So make it great. Thanks for tuning in. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or treatment. While the content of this podcast is based on research and personal experience, everyone's situation is unique, and the advice given may not be applicable to all. Always consult a qualified professional before making significant changes in your life. The Personal Mastery and Growth podcast is recorded at the So Good Media Studios, located in the Candy Factory, a co-working space in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.